You're standing in the hotel bathroom, nice hotel, one of the good ones, the kind where the mirror is lit properly, not the forgiving yellow tungsten of the bathroom at home. Good lighting, sharp mirror, no mercy. And you're looking at yourself before you get dressed for dinner. And there's a moment. It lasts maybe 2 seconds, maybe less. Tiny, private, humiliating. You adjust your shirt. You take a small calculation. You make a small calculation even. You decide which jacket covers what covers what pulls cleanest, what hides in midsection. And then you walk out and you don't think about it again. Except you do. You adjusted the jacket. That wasn't style. That was cover. I stand at a slight angle in the photos now. Not consciously, just enough. Welcome back to Iron Suits, where strength wears a crown. I'm not going to waste your time with an introduction today. You already know where this is going. Stay with me. I've been avoiding this, not because I don't understand it, because I do. There's a conversation happening in your relationship that has never been spoken out loud. Not once. Your wife hasn't said it. You haven't said it. And yet both of you are fully aware of it. You felt it. Don't pretend you haven't. That's what this episode is about. Not about fitness, not about weight, not about macros, training programs, or any of that. Those conversations exist elsewhere. This is a different conversation. This is about what's actually happening in the dynamic between two people who have been together long enough to read each other without speaking. And I want to be precise here because precision is the only thing that makes this conversation worth having. She's not angry. She's not contemptuous. She hasn't made a decision. But something has shifted. Nothing dramatic. That's why it's got this far. And the fact that you know it and you haven't done anything about it, and you've gotten quite good at not thinking about it, that's the part I want to sit with today. Let me paint you a picture. It's a Sunday. You're both at a restaurant, not a special occasion, just a good restaurant you both like. You're seated, menus are open. She looks across the table at you. And she smiles. A real smile. She loves you. That's not in question. But love is not the same as response. Somewhere in that glance, somewhere in the 2 seconds of taking you in across that table, there is information being processed. Not consciously, not critically, biologically, evolutionary. She sees his posture, she registers his energy. Whether you fill the space or slightly apologize inside it. She's not judging you. She's reading you. And she has a baseline. And the baseline has shifted. She didn't announce it. She adjusted it. She doesn't say anything. She picks up the menu. I can feel, I can feel when I'm not fully there. She can feel it faster. You order a drink, and men miss this because they're waiting for words. Let me talk about the micro reactions because this is where men get it wrong. They're waiting for a conversation. They're waiting for a moment. They're waiting for something explicit that they can respond to, defend against, or fix. The conversation doesn't come. What comes instead is something smaller, quieter, micro reactions. So small, so normal seeming, so embedded in the ordinary texture of daily life that a man can go months, years, without registering them consciously. But somewhere in his body, he's registered all of it. The room moved on. Your nervous system didn't. I noticed it, I just didn't stay with it. There's a joke. You probably make it yourself. Something self-deprecating about your midsection. Said casually in a social setting, maybe with a glass of something in your hand. And you say it before anyone else can say it, because that's what smart men do. They control the frame by naming the thing first. Better I say it first, so nobody else has to. Everyone laughs, including her, and you move on. The joke landed, the truth stayed. But notice what you just did. You just confirmed it. To her, to the room, to yourself. You took something that lives in private and you made it a punchline so that it couldn't be used against you. That's not confidence. That's preemption. That was camouflage. And she knows the difference. There's a way she touches you, or more precisely, the way that's changed. I'm not talking about anything dramatic. I'm talking about something far more subtle than that. The casual, spontaneous, unprompted reach. The frequency shifts. Nothing breaks, it just stops arriving. You're looking for a rejection. What actually happens is reduction. The way tides shift, you don't see the water moving, but you look up and the beach looks different. She still touches me, just not the same way. She's not withholding, she's responding. The way the body responds to something it registers in the other person's body. Presence, energy, the sense of someone being fully inhabited. When a man is physically depleted, carrying weight he shouldn't be carrying, operating on caffeine and willpower, and the memory of what he used to feel like, there is an energetic signature to that. You can feel it in the room. She definitely feels it in her bed. Love stayed, something else thinned out. There's a moment when she asks you if you're tired. Early in a relationship, are you tired? Is concern. It's tenderness. It's her wanting to know how you are. At some point, and you'll know exactly what I mean, the same words carry a different register. Same words, different meaning. That question didn't used to mean that. Not irritation, not contempt, something quieter than that. An accommodation, an adjustment. Are you tired as a way of managing expectation? Of recalibrating the evening? Of accepting a version of you that operates at reduced capacity? You've become someone whose tiredness needs to be checked for. That's not a health issue. That's a position in the relationship. I want to talk about presence. Presence is not charisma. Presence is not charm. Presence is what exists when you walk into a room and say nothing. Before you speak, before you perform, before you explain. It's physical, it's energetic, it's a quality of being fully installed in your own body. And it is communicated without a single word. You don't need to say it. People feel it. When a man is in his physical prime, not necessarily young, but vital, trained, he carries a different weight in a room, in a relationship, in a bed. He doesn't have to assert it. It's just there. The way gravity is just there. When that physical foundation deteriorates, the presence doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes. And erosion is dangerous precisely because it doesn't feel like loss. It feels like normal. That's a trap. It feels like Tuesday. It feels like this is just what happens. This is just what life looks like at this level. And so the erosion continues, and what was once presence becomes its ghost. But not in all rooms. Not in the room with her. She felt that drop before you admitted it. She's known you too long. She has a preference point that no one else has. She remembers who you were when your physical energy was different. She doesn't want that man back. She's not pinning for the past. But the body doesn't forget what it felt next to. And something in her body registered the delta. The distance between then and now. Without words, without intention. And the relationship adjusts subtly, quietly. That's the thing about relationships. They don't wait for you to be ready to have a conversation. They just adjust. Now, let me talk about avoidance because I think this is where the story is. You're a smart man. You run towards difficult information. Except here. Here, There's a very sophisticated system of not looking. It sounds like this. I've just been in a particularly intense season. Once this deal closes, once Q4 is through, I'll lock in. You've said some version of that sentence more than once. You know that. I've been saying that for longer than I'll admit. The sentence is never technically false. That's why it's so effective. But underneath, the sentence is about displacement. And intentions feel almost as good as actions. For a moment, long enough to not act. And that moment is enough to escape the awareness. And that's how a man who solves hard problems for a living spends 5 years not solving the one in the mirror. The travel excuse is real. The disruption is real. But here's the thing. The men who are in the condition I'm describing don't train when they travel either. Travel isn't the obstacle. The travel is the reason. So is the pattern. An obstacle is something you work around. A reason is something you stop at. You've been stopping. I mentioned the physical self-deprecating humor. I want to go a bit deeper. When you are in a social setting with your wife and something comes up that brushes near this territory, you handle it. You handle it with lightness, with a quip that lands perfectly. And the joke always works. That's a problem. But the joke is not nothing. The joke is a negotiation. It's a way of saying, I see this and I'm classifying it as trivial. Except somewhere in your chest, when the laughter settles, there's a very private knowing that the thing you just made a joke about is not trivial. Smart men don't avoid the truth. They reframe it. I want to talk about attraction. She loves you. I'm not suggesting your marriage is in danger. Attraction is not love. Attraction is a response, not a promise. An attraction, unlike love, is not a decision. It's not a commitment. It is a response, and responses adjust to stimulus, whether you like it or not. When you operate at reduced physical capacity, when your energy is collapsed, the stimulus changes, and the response changes with it. Not dramatically, gradually, in the texture of ordinary evenings. In the frequency of spontaneous touch, in the quality of attention she brings you, and the calibration that happens is not conscious. It is just happening, the way physics happens. And here's the part I wanted to stay with. You know, not almost no. No, I've known for a while. I don't stay with it long enough to do anything. You have a felt sense that something in the dynamic has shifted. Something in the way you move through your own relationship. Something in how you inhabit your own house. And you've become expertly A man who functions on top of that knowledge. That works in business. It costs you here because the things that you don't address don't disappear. They just relocate from visible to structural, where they run quietly in the background and influence everything while appearing to influence nothing. Let me say something about respect, because this is actually more important than attraction. Respect in a long-term relationship is a current, and currents shift. When a man commands his physical life, when he's vital, there's a form of respect that comes with that. Something older than achievement, something more animal. The respect that a woman has for a man who's in command of himself. The form of respect doesn't disappear when a man's physical condition declines, but it recalibrates quietly. Something about how she sees me has softened. It shows up in how decisions get made, in who leans towards whom, in the subtle architecture of authority. Authority in a relationship is not asserted, it is not negotiated, it is felt. And what is felt is what is true. And that's what's felt wins. What your wife feels in the presence of the man you currently are, that felt sense is the actual truth of where you stand. Everything else is narrative. Some men will have that's a shallow way to look at a relationship pushback. That's not depth. That's avoidance dressed up as intelligence. I understand that response, but here's the thing. The men who reach for complexity are often using it to protect themselves from a simple truth. The truth is not complicated. You just don't like how simple it is. The truth is physical. It's immediate. It lives in the body. When you are vital, everything changes. Not just the way she looks at you, everything. The way you sit in a room, the way you run a meeting, the way you move through risk. Your physical condition is not separate from your authority. It is a foundation. And foundations only become news when they start to go. You understand time in business. You understand compounding. The body is the same instrument on the same logic. It tracks, it remembers, it reflects. What you're doing right now or not doing is compounding, slowly, silently. It will arrive as a Tuesday, as a slightly different quality to an ordinary evening, and a look across a restaurant table. That's why you miss it. And by the time you notice it clearly enough to name it, the compounding will have been running for years. The men who fix this, they don't fix it because they had a revelation. They fix it because they stopped lying to themselves about what they already knew. Not publicly, privately. They stopped the internal deal they'd been making every morning. They stopped setting it aside. That's the moment everything changes. I didn't lose it overnight. I adjust it quietly. They fix it because the cost of knowing and not acting becomes higher than the cost of acting. That's the threshold. It's different for every man. I don't know where yours is, but here's what I know. You've been aware of this conversation for longer than you've admitted. You've been aware that something in your relationship runs differently than it used to. Not worse exactly, just adjusted. You've been aware that the self-deprecating joke isn't really a joke. You've been aware that "I'll lock in soon" is a sentence you've said many times without it ever becoming a date. That awareness hasn't gone anywhere. It's just been waiting. It's just been waiting for you to stop being too busy to feel it. Presence is felt before it is discussed. Respect shifts quietly. Attraction adjusts before words do. And your body is making an argument every day, at dinner, in silence, in bed, in the ordinary moments that no one talks about. The question isn't whether she notices, she does. The question is whether you care that she does. The question is whether you're willing to keep living inside the standard you would never respect anywhere else. Because men don't wait too long by accident. They wait because the truth stayed quiet enough to live with. Until it doesn't. If you heard this and felt nothing, you're either already where you need to be, or you've gotten very good at not feeling it. Most men don't respond to this. They just keep negotiating. I hope this episode brought value to you. If it did, share it with another leader. As iron sharpened iron, one man sharpened another. Make sure you follow me on my socials. I am on Facebook under Marwan Killu, LinkedIn Marwan Killu Fitness. You can watch us on YouTube under Marwan Killu. And make sure you subscribe to the show so you get notifications when new episodes go live. Till the next episode, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.